Hey guys, it's Jenny Silver, and today I have an update for those of you in the state of California on the California EDD's major issues with unemployment and pandemic unemployment this week. I've been creating a video on Friday which chronicles all of the week's major issues that many claimants are seeing with their unemployment claims as a way to try to create you kind of a one-stop video that will answer the majority of your questions this week that are popping up in my comments and with the EDD as being major issues. Make sure that you use the timestamp menu down below because it is very detailed and you'll be able to jump ahead and find your specific issue as opposed to watching the entire video. Because if you watch the entire video, it's kind of depressing to see how broken the system is right now. First up, I want to go over new information that was shared in yesterday's EDD press release. So first off, with regards to ID verification, the EDD states something in yesterday's press release that is different information than what they have shared before. Now, in a prior press release, as well as information that was handed over to assembly members that was then shared with the public, the EDD stated that it could take up to 30 days for the EDD to apply your ID verification to your claim and lift the suspension on your unemployment claim. In their most recent press release, they state now that it can take 7 to 10 days after identity is validated to ensure other eligibility requirements are met and issue payments. So, whereas I previously stated to wait up to 30 days, because that was the time frame that was being shared by the EDD. With this most recent press release, I would now advise that if you have completed your ID verification successfully, and you have not received a text message from the EDD within 10 days after verifying your ID, I would now recommend that you call into customer service after that 10-day mark instead of waiting up to 30 days, because with this press release, they are now sharing a 10-day time frame. The other piece of new information that is shared in yesterday's press release is in regards to those individuals that have reached the end of their 12-month benefit year and are on traditional unemployment claims. The EDD does want you to apply for and file a new claim once you reach the end of your 12-month benefit year if you're on a traditional unemployment claim. However, they do share a little bit of additional information here with regards to what happens if you do not qualify for a new claim. Those still collecting PEUC extension benefits when they ran out of benefits on their regular UI claim, at the end of their 12-month benefit year, the EDD is required to first check if the individual has made enough in any intervening wages over the year to qualify for a new regular UI claim. Nothing new here. They want you to reapply and see if you qualify for a new. However, as a result of the Continued Assistance Act, while the EDD must still check for a new regular UI claim eligibility, for those whose PEUC weekly benefit amount is at least $25 higher than what a new regular claim amount would be, starting next week, these individuals will be allowed to collect all available PEUC benefits before being moved to the new regular claim later. Now, if you see my benefit year end video, you know that I already shared that information. I shared it because it was a piece of the December stimulus bill. It was a piece that was optional for states to utilize. The states were granted the ability in the stimulus bill that if a new claim was required and the individual only qualified for a weekly benefit amount that was $25 less or even less, that they could have the ability to keep you on your old claim for the extension. In that video, I stated that I was not sure if California was going to enact this optional provision. Well, here we have it. They are going to be utilizing that provision. So what does that mean for your claim? If you are collecting PEUC benefits and you are required to file a new claim because you reached the end of your 12-month benefit year from the start date of your claim, you would need to file a new claim, and then if you're either denied a claim or if it's for a lesser amount due to weekly benefit award amount being decreased, then you would be able to stay on your old claim and continue to collect under that old higher weekly benefit award amount until the extension is exhausted. Okay, so those are the most recent developments that are shared in the press release. Next, let's talk about the extension for claims. If you're in phase 1 of having the extension applied to your claim, that means that you had a remaining balance at the end of December when the CARES Act expired. Now, the EDD has stated that Phase 1 claimants have already had their claims extended and are continuing to collect in this new phase of the extension. If you're a PUA, you would have already seen your benefit year extended and your claim balance increased. If you are PEUC, UI, or Fed Ed, you would need to get all the way down to a $0 balance before you see the additional extension and claim balance added in. Once you reach a $0 balance, it should be about a week until you receive a notification in UI Online stating that you have been granted the extension, and then about a week later you are able to certify. If you have not received the extension within those timeframes, then I would call in to customer service. Phase 2 recipients are those individuals that had a $0 balance at the end of December when the CARES Act expired. For those individuals that had a $0 balance at the end of the year, the EDD has stated that they are taking up until March 7th to apply the extension to your claim. Many claimants are starting to receive messages in their inbox stating that they have been awarded the extension and that they will be able to certify by March 7th. So there's no change in date on that. We hope that it won't take all the way up until March 7th, but I would expect that it would because the EDD has not been very fast these days. So if you had a $0 balance at the end of the CARES Act in December, expect it to take up until March 7th to be able to certify and have the extension applied to your claim. For those of you who are on Fed Ed, you will need to continue to use up the remainder of your Fed Ed balance, and then once you reach a $0 balance, you should receive the extension applied to your claim within about 1 to 2 weeks, unless you have reached the end of your benefit year, in which case you would need to reapply. Next, let's talk about those of you who have reached the end of your benefit year. First off, if you're a PUA, Pandemic Unemployment Assistance. If you're self-employed or had limited work history in the year prior, you're a PUA claim. PUA claims are a provision of the CARES Act. They were created by the stimulus bill. That means that their end date is defined by the stimulus bill. So PUA claims do not need to seem to reapply once they reach the end of 1 year's worth of benefits. The earliest start date for a PUA claim was February 2nd, 2020. So many of you are either coming up on or have already surpassed the end of your benefit year. But PUA has been extended. That's why you're seeing a different end date applied to your claim in UI Online. You will now see a 4/10 end date, which means that your claim has been extended. While many of you may have seen your benefit year change, you might still be waiting for the actual extension, the claim balance, and the ability to certify to be added into your account. If that is you, that means that you're a PUA claim that had a $0 balance at the end of the CARES Act, and you're going to be waiting up until March 7th for that extension to be added in. For those of you that have reached the end of your benefit year and you're a traditional unemployment claim, meaning that you had W-2 employee wages the year prior, you can check to see when your benefit year ends by going to UI Online and looking at your claim start date. Count 12 months out, and then that is the end of your benefit year. Many of you with traditional unemployment claims will see a start date, and then you will simply see on extension. On extension means that you have gone on to one of the extensions, PEUC or Fed Ed. You still can determine the end of your benefit year by looking at your start date and counting 12 months out. For those of you that have entered into a Fed Ed extension, Fed Ed will continue to pay out your claim, it seems, until Fed Ed is exhausted. However, if you have reached the end of your 12-month benefit year and you're on UI or you're on a PEUC extension and your claim is stuck in pending, check your start date. If you are 12 months out or longer, that means that you need to reapply for a new claim. If you reach the end of your benefit year and you need to reapply, you can call into customer service, check with them to make sure that's the right thing to do for your claim, and then they will be able to reapply for you over the phone. That seems to be the easiest, most clear, and most direct way to file a new application. Next, let's talk about those of you who are stuck in pending. not paid, or disqualified. First off, if you're subject to an ID verification and your claim has been suspended until you complete an ID verification, your payments will be marked as pending until that ID verification is not only completed, but the EDD has applied it to your claim. Once the EDD applies the ID verification to your claim, they will send you a text message confirming. Once you receive that confirmation text message, it can take 48 hours for your pending payments to move to paid. Your payments could also be stuck in pending due to the EDD restarting a fraud prevention mechanism that they have within their systems. For a period of about 4 months, the EDD turned off in their internal systems a mechanism that they use to stop payments to claims that could be potentially fraudulent. This is called a stop payment alert. Now, there are many different reasons why a stop payment alert might have been triggered in your claim, but some of the major ones include how you certify. If you marked that no, you are not looking for work, even if the EDD told you that that was okay, it can trigger a stop payment alert. They will then need to talk to you on the phone and verify that you do in fact qualify for your claim. Another thing that might trigger a stop payment alert is if the EDD needs to verify your eligibility for a claim. They may need to conduct a phone interview to ask you a series of questions just to confirm that you do in fact qualify for your unemployment benefits. Having any of these stop payment alerts is going to be a hassle because you have to talk to EDD to clear them. However, don't be worried about having a phone interview with them. Answer the questions honestly. If you qualified for a claim, in most cases, it will be something that is easy to clear over the phone. If you are seen disqualified or not paid, call in to customer service. There is some sort of an issue that has triggered you to be ineligible for payments. It could either be an expiration of your benefit year and you need to reapply, or some sort of eligibility issue, or some sort of documentation that was not completed with the EDD, such as completing your ID verification by their deadline, submitting proof of income, etc. Next, let's talk about the reopen claim button. This is still a problem. The reopen claim button is coming back for people. Sometimes you will see it once, sometimes you will see it several times appear in your account. The EDD originally stated that the reopen claim button was a glitch in their system and that PUA and PEUC claimants with a remaining balance at the end of the CARES Act we're now seeing a reopen claim button pop up in their account. If you see a reopen claim button and you have not certified for 30 days because you went back to work and you do need to reopen your claim, then click it. However, if you're merely waiting for an extension in your PUA or PEUC, the EDD has stated not to click the reopen claim button. They also stated that you could wait and it would eventually clear on its own. This is the case for my husband's account. I did not touch it. I did not call in. I used it as a test and I waited to see if it would go away, and it did. However, it is the most efficient option to call into customer service and ask them to clear it over the phone. That will allow you to certify in the fastest way possible and get it cleared up so you can get paid. If you did click the reopen claim button, what you will see is you will see a lapse for several weeks wherein you cannot certify and you can't get paid. However, if you did click the reopen claim button, the EDD states that you can wait and they will send these certifications over eventually automatically. We don't know how long this takes, so if you need your payments faster, call into customer service and they will be able to fix this for you over the phone. Next, let's talk about 1099-G tax forms. The EDD is required to send you a tax form for the unemployment benefits that you received for the year. The 1099-G is the tax form that they are sending you. Now, the EDD has received an extension from the IRS and they have up until the end of February to send this to you. It is available online for many recipients if you requested to have it, but many individuals are starting to see it there regardless. The EDD will mail you out a paper copy if you did not request to have it online. Make sure that you double check your 1099-G. Many subscribers are reporting that they are seeing errors in their 1099-G, so if you want to double check to make sure that everything is accurate, it might be beneficial. Now, unemployment benefits are taxable. They are not earned income, but they are income and are taxable as income in the state of California on the federal level. So you are subject to paying income taxes on the federal level for your unemployment benefits. The taxes apply to not only your regular weekly benefit award amount that you receive weekly, but also to the federal boost. The additional $300 boost and $600 boost are taxable. Now, if you selected tax withholding on your certifications, the EDD would have withheld 10% federal income tax for you on your weekly benefit award amount. However, they do not withhold any income taxes on the federal boost. So you will still need to pay taxes on your federal boost. Now, the EDD has set up a separate phone line for the 1099-G if you have questions on it or if you see something that seems like it needs to be corrected. Additionally, if you receive a 1099-G from the EDD and you did not receive any unemployment benefits at all, you need to call this phone number because you may have been a victim of unemployment fraud. The phone number is 1-866-401-2849, and it is available Monday through Friday from 8 a.m. until 5 p.m. Next, let's talk about the MEUC boost, which is the Mixed Earners Boost for an additional $100 per week for individuals who had both self-employment income and W-2 income. If you had self-employment income in the amount of $5,000 or more in the year prior, and you had W-2 income, the EDD defaults you to a W-2 traditional unemployment claim, and they disregard all of your self-employment income. So individuals may have had $50,000 in self-employment income and only $2,000 in W-2 income. Well, that $50,000 would be ignored and you'd be placed onto a traditional unemployment claim. If this is you, the last stimulus bill in December grants an additional $100 per week to be added in the form of an MEUC boost. Now, this is an optional program for states. They do not have to use it, but California EDD did state that they were going to take advantage of this program. But unfortunately, there are no details yet, and the program is not up and running yet. As soon as there is information, I will be sure to share it in its own standalone video. Next, let's talk about overpayments. If you've received a notice stating that you are subject to an overpayment and you have to pay back some of your benefits, the EDD does have the option to issue an overpayment waiver according to the stimulus bill that was passed in December. However, this is an optional provision and the states aren't required to do this. It is at the discretion of the states. At this point in time, we are still waiting on details from the California EDD on exactly how this will be implemented. So at this point in time, we are still waiting for additional information on how to apply for an overpayment waiver. So there's nothing new at this time for that. So that means that if you're receiving an overpayment notice, that you need to comply with what the EDD is requesting of you at this time. Next, let's talk about how to certify. Many of you have received a notification in UI Online letting you know that your work search requirements have been changed. This notification most likely states that you're required to be able to accept full-time work, but that you're not required to look for work. As I have stated in all of my prior certification videos, I would still strongly recommend that you continue to look for work and certify that yes, you are looking for work. Why? Because stating no that you are not looking for work at this point in time is triggering a stop payment alert on claims. Many claims that are answering that no, they have not looked for work or no, they are not available to work are being triggered in the system and are subject to have their payments put on hold while they undergo an interview on the phone. If you want to avoid a stop payment alert, then answer that yes, you are available for work. Yes, you are looking for work. And then look for work. Next, let's go over the status of the proposed bill to waive taxation on $10,200 worth of unemployment benefits. Now, this is a proposed bill. It's also a standalone bill, a bill by itself that is not a part of the $1.9 trillion stimulus that's undergoing budget reconciliation right now. It's not a part of that. Right now, there's no new developments on this bill. Right now, it is sitting and there's no forward momentum on it. So, do you have to pay taxes on your unemployment? Yes, currently you do have to pay taxes on your unemployment unless we see further action taken with this bill. Next, let's talk about what happens when we reach the end of this current stimulus bill's extension to unemployment. March 15th is the last date when new claims can be applied for and collect the unemployment benefits from the most recent stimulus bill in December. March 15th is also the last date that you will see that additional $300 boost applied to your claims. Now, claim week ending April 10th is the last week that claims with a remaining balance can continue to collect their balance. So what happens when our current extension expires and our current boost expires? Well, right now we don't exactly know. What's happening right now in Congress is that the $1.9 trillion stimulus proposal has been written up as text in the House of Representatives. In order to avoid trying to get the Republican support needed in order to pass the stimulus bill through a traditional vote, the Democrats of the House have written up the stimulus and are incorporating it into the budget in the form of a budget resolution. Once voted on, if passed in the House and passed in the Senate, then the Senate parliamentarian must weigh in on whether or not there are any items within the budget reconciliation that don't actually fall in line with being budget items. If anything is not allowed to be in there, then that will need to be modified. But if it passes as is, then it would move on for a signature. As the text stands right now, it includes an extension of pandemic unemployment provisions up through August 29th. That means that traditional unemployment claims would have the PEUC extension extended up until August 29th, and PUA claims would be extended up until August 29th, with additional claim balance added in for those weeks. In addition to that, it also would include a potential $400 per week boost to unemployment up until August 29th. Next, let's talk about those of you that are having trouble with your ID.me verification. If you are stuck with ID.me and you're having trouble, I want to make sure that you, number one, don't have a freeze or a lock on your credit report, because that can cause a hold up. Number two, if you are having trouble with ID.me, you can call their customer support phone number, which is 866-775-4363. Additionally, many individuals have had success with tweeting the CEO of ID.me. You can find him at Blake_Hall. If you're having trouble with your ID.me verification and your documents are not being processed through, then you will need to do a video call with ID.me. So if you see the button pop up that says request a video call, make sure you click on that to help you get through the process faster. Next, let's talk about those of you that have frozen Bank of America debit cards with the EDD. If your B of A debit card was frozen, not your EDD account, but your debit card was frozen, I want to make sure that you understand that you can call customer service at EDD and request them to pay you out with a paper check, as opposed to sending your funds to your frozen B of A card. So call customer service first and ask them to send your funds in a check instead. Lastly, let's talk about how to get help. I have several videos published this week on calling the regular phone number, as well as 2 tricks to help you get through to the EDD customer service faster. I'm going to link that video down below. It has been very helpful for people to get through much faster using those 2 tricks. So watch the video. I test them in real time on the phone, and I get through about 6 times to a hold line in 20 minutes. So if you're having trouble getting through, go watch that video right now and try those techniques. In addition to that, once you call into customer service, if you are stuck in pending, if you have a stop payment alert, if you have some sort of an issue that requires a higher level of customer service, make sure you ask to be transferred over to a Tier 2 rep or an EPR agent, which is the term that the audit report stated that the Tier 2 reps are actually called, EPR agents. Those are the individuals that can actually make the higher level changes to your claim. They seem to stop taking calls by 12 p.m., although they do work later in the day, but they have a hard end time at 5 p.m. So unfortunately, many individuals who have called into customer service and have been working with these higher level agents have their call cut off at 5 p.m. So make sure that you call earlier in the day. Now, if you cannot get through to customer service, or you have higher level issues with your claim and you are not in the camp where you're waiting until March 7th for your extension, because if you are, you unfortunately just have to wait. Well, if you need additional help on your claim and the EDD is not helpful, the assembly members' offices have been very helpful with acting as a liaison between the claimants and EDD. So contact your assembly member. I'm going to leave the link in the video description of exactly how you can contact your assembly member. If your assembly member is not helpful, Lorena Gonzalez's office has proven to be very helpful for claimants that are getting frustrated at the lack of help that they cannot receive from neither the EDD nor their assembly member. Okay, you guys, I really hope that was helpful. Please click like, subscribe, and leave me a comment down below. That was a lot, you guys. It was a lot of information with no script. A fraud prevention, awkward silence, what do we call it? Technique? Mechanism? Hey guys, it's Jenny Silver, and today I have an update for those of you, and so I want to make sure that you have, it just got darker in here.